Hi everyone, welcome to the second PowerPoint video for Accounting 202. This one we're going to talk about variable and fixed costs and also a mixed cost. So again, we are continuing to classify our different costs, and by putting them into these various categories, we're able to do a lot of different analysis that would be helpful for managers. Like if we know if it's a variable or fixed cost, that tells us how it reacts to changes in sales or production. Then we're able to predict what our income is going to be at all different levels of sales. So that is certainly very helpful. So, what is a variable cost? We'll start with that. So, there's two parts to the definition. What does the cost do in total, and what does it do per unit as our activity increases or as our activity decreases? So when your activity changes, what happens to that cost? And most of the time with the activity, they give you all these different examples of what the activity can be, but the most common is our activity is our sales or our production. So if we increase our sales or if we increase production, what is that going to do to the cost? So if it's a variable cost, in total, if our sales go up, then that cost in total is going to go up. However, per unit, it's going to stay the same. So, a perfect example of a variable cost is a direct material. So, if we have a direct material, and I like to use food, so our direct material is cheese that goes on a pizza. So, let's say we're a local pizza place, and every pizza that we make has about $8 worth of cheese. So, if we sold one pizza, we've got $1 of cheese cost. If we sell two pizzas, there's $1 cheese on every pizza. So now we have a total cheese cost of $2. If we sell 100 pizzas, each pizza has $1 worth of cheese. Now we have $100 in cheese cost. So as we sell more, trying to get myself on the video. As we sell more, our cheese cost goes up in total. Per unit, it's staying the same. So that is a variable cost. A fixed cost is exactly the opposite. So a fixed cost in total, when our activity changes, stays the same. So examples of this would be rent of our pizza store. So if we have to pay $1,000 in rent at our restaurant or pizza store, whatever you want to call it, then um, it stays constant. So if our rent is $1,000 and we sell one pizza, rent is $1,000. If we sell 1,000 pizzas, rent is $1,000. So in total, it stays the same. It stays constant per unit. So if we look at that fixed rent cost per unit. So if we sold one pizza and our rent is $1,000, that one pizza had $1,000 of rent attached to it. If I sell 1,000 pizzas, I'm now trying to figure out what the cost is per pizza, rent cost is per pizza. My rent was $1,000. I sold 1,000 pizzas, 1,000 divided by 1,000. Each pizza has $1 of rent cost attached to it. So if I sell more, it's going to spread that cost out over a lot more pizzas. So it's going to bring the cost per unit down. So fixed cost per unit go down as our activity goes up, but in total, it's going to stay the same. So it has to meet both parts of that definition. I'll come back to these things. I keep skipping through these slides. So here are the definitions for both. It has to meet both portions of the definition, what it does in total and what it does per unit. If you find something that doesn't meet both parts of the definition, then that means it's a mixed cost. So it has a part of it that's fixed, a part of it that's variable. An example of this would be, what if you had a utility bill where they're charging you a flat fee each month, and then you're charged for how much electricity you use? There might actually be a slide on this. Let me see. Oh, well, we'll come back to it. Um, so if you have a utility bill where it charges you a flat fee per month and it charges you for utility usage, then you've got a piece of it that's fixed, a piece of it that's variable for your utility costs. So that would be a mixed cost. What we do with a mixed cost is we're just going to separate it out. We can say how much of it is fixed, how much of it is variable, and then we can still do our predictions as to changes in activity, what our new costs would be. So there are the definitions. Here's an example that's in your slides. And they are asking which of these costs would be variable with respect to the number of ice cream cones being sold at an ice cream store like a Baskin Robbins. So, cost of lighting the store. So, your lights are probably on from the time you open up to the time you close. Is that going to fluctuate depending on how many cones you sell? I need a little Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do. Probably not. So it's going to be basically the same. It's going to stay level at whatever that amount is. So that's going to be more of a fixed cost. Wages of a store manager. So your store manager probably has to work a set number of hours each week, whether you sell millions of dollars of cones or a few cones, you're probably going to be paying that manager the same. So that would be more of an example of a fixed cost. Ice cream. So every ice cream cone that you sell has ice cream in it. So if I sell more ice cream cones that have ice cream in them, then obviously my cost in ice cream would be more. So that meets the definition of a variable. The napkins, you can look at it a couple different ways, but let's just say we're handing out a napkin every time we sell an ice cream cone. In that case, the more cones we sell, the more napkins we're going to have. So our two variable costs here, ice cream and the napkins. And just FYI, your direct materials are pretty much always going to be a variable cost, and most of the time direct labor. Oh, here was our mixed utility cost example. We're not going to get into the formula of a line. And that is pretty much it on variable and fixed. So again, make sure you're comfortable with both parts of the definition. Trying to get back to that screen. So you can ask yourself when you're given an example, if my sales go up, will that increase my costs? And if you're answering yes, it's going to increase my costs, then it could be a variable cost. It's definitely not a fixed. So you can use that to help you decipher what's variable and what's fixed. In the practice homework, you've got several examples about variable and fixed costs, exercise 1-4, exercise 1-9, exercise 1-14. Be sure to take a look at those, make sure you're comfortable with it. Obviously, in the homework, you're going to have to do classifications of what's variable and what's fixed. And again, we will use variable and fixed costs throughout the semester, so make sure you have a good grasp of this. We've got one more video for chapter 1, and we'll do that in a different recording. So see you later.